Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to another Lions victory. Didn't sweat it at all. Didn't sweat it at all. We're getting Luchador right away. I need to adjust the camera real quick, though. I am really dark. I know it's, like, dark here, but it's dark where you are probably, too. Let me see. Let's adjust that. There we are. Welcome, everyone, to the Pride of Detroit post-game stream. I'm Chris Perfett. The Adequate Luchador is out in full force right away. Doing it. We're just going to do this right now. I've got a lot of alerts to get to. We're going to get our post-game thoughts here very quickly, very shortly. Let me turn that on real quick. That gives me a little more light. Lions are 6-2. It didn't start the way I think the Lions wanted to, but it's how you finish. It's not how you start, right? It's not how you start. It's how you finish. Junk Trunk saying it's dark everywhere. Incorrect. I do not think it's dark yet in Hawaii. It's still part of the United States. Don't forget about them. I don't think that game was gross. I do not think that game was gross. It was a game of attrition, and, give it to the Raiders. They came in and fought very hard to start this game on defense. Their offense was a different question. The offense for the Raiders was not good at all. Their defense, however, really stumbled with their defense really hung tough, though, with the Lions. Gave them a lot of trouble with what they wanted to do straight out of the gate. Max Crosby is an unassailable monster. Maybe you should block him more. But, as I said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And how you finish is, I don't know, how many times did the Lions hit Jimmy Garoppolo? By my count, at least 8 times in the fourth quarter to really set it home. We can play this game, and the Lions could have probably been up 50, and I should probably get the recorder going right now so I at least get my thoughts. Let's take it from the top. Welcome, everyone, to the Pride of Detroit post-game podcast. We are recording right now here, Pride of Detroit on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. We'll have our thoughts, a full podcast coming for you on Tuesday as we get ready for the bye week, talk about the trade deadline and everything else. But guess what? The Lions are heading 6-2 into the bye week with a hard victory over the Raiders. Now, let me clarify hard. It was hard fought. It was hard won. But it was also the Lions hard on their dominance as well. And I know Lions fans were not happy with how this game started. I think some Lions fans have gotten very, very impatient when it comes to the offense. And I will say this, you have to give it to the Raiders. They played a very good defensive game to start this set. They knew exactly what they wanted to do against the Lions, and they dominated on the line of scrimmage. However, as the game wore on, you began to wear down the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's what happens in a football game. That's how this stuff happens. It's not what you do on your first drive. What you're doing on a first drive is scripted. It's trying to probe. It's trying to establish the run. What happens is once you get comfortable into the groove of things. And yes, the Lions made a lot of mistakes. The Jared Goff pick 6 was absolutely brutal. The fumble was quite comical, and to be honest, I wasn't quite sure. It should have been called a fumble on the field. They did say the call would stand, which means they didn't have enough evidence to overturn it, which is why you want to be careful about what you call as a turnover on the field in case of those things. It doesn't matter, though, because this game on offense belongs to Jahmyr Gibbs. And to a point, Craig Reynolds and Amon-Ra St. Brown as well, but I don't know if anyone had a bigger night than Jahmyr Gibbs. 152 yards on the ground and 37 yards on 5 catches. At one point, he had more yards than the entire Raiders offense had the entire game. Now, when Jahmyr Gibbs got rolling, and that was an extension of the middle 8 minutes where the Lions got their touchdown right before going into half, that all started to turn the page. Yes, it stayed close. The Lions had self-inflicted wounds in a lot of ways, but by that time, the Lions had started to impose their will on the offense, on the Raiders offense in more ways. And that also meant that the Raiders defense was getting more and more worn down. The run game started to work more and more. Jahmyr Gibbs kept getting touches. Craig Reynolds kept getting touches. Craig Reynolds, 14 carries for 74 yards. The man is stepping up in a significant way And both him and Gibbs were everything the Lions really needed here. Sam Laporta, critical catches. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another game over 100 yards. Cannot be stated that this is all part of the plan for the Lions to wear down teams, and it's exactly what they did to the Raiders. That's how you come to a situation where at the end of the game, even though it's only a 12-point game, there was no chance in hell for the Raiders to come back in this. I watched it. Jimmy Garoppolo got sacked 6 times, and most of those came on the final drives that the Raiders had, being anywhere close to winning this game. On top of that, we can't even include some quarterback hits that were happening in there, where also guys were getting to Jimmy Garoppolo as he was getting the ball away, including one where they hit Jimmy Garoppolo, and he really should have had Devontae Adams for a clear touchdown, but instead it hits the Gatorade coolers. Parts of that is luck. Parts of that is you're playing a very bad quarterback. Part of that, however, is that you finally figured out and wore down their protection. You adapt over the course of a football game. And I say all this because early on I received a lot of complaints from Lions fans about how the Lions started this game. A lot of struggles in the red zone, a lot of struggles with converting drives into touchdowns. That's going to happen sometimes. No team ever bats 1,000. Is it concerning? Absolutely. Again, it has to become part of a larger question, a larger trend question about how the Lions have been doing on offense. But again, I thought the Lions got comfortable in this game on offense, just like they got comfortable in this game on defense. And once they get comfortable on either of those sides of the ball, they are capable of imposing their will. It's all about getting guys into the right situations, the right spots, and just rolling it downhill, man. Rolling it downhill. The Las Vegas Raiders are not a good football team. They came in, however, with a lot to play for, a lot to fight for. This game was really the last game they could play in this season to keep their season hopes alive. That's pretty much over for them now at 3-5. They've lost 2 in a row. They really wanted to bounce back after the loss to the Bears, just like the Detroit Lions wanted to bounce back after their loss to the Baltimore Ravens. But the Lions held on. The Lions did what they wanted to. And while that first half was ugly, and we'll talk about some of the ugliness, once more, it's about how you end the game. The Lions made those adjustments, adapted to the looks the Raiders were giving them, and shut them down completely. I thought in the first half, the defensive penetration just wasn't there. Instead, we somehow get to the end of the game where, again, Jimmy Garoppolo takes 6 sacks and gets smacked around a few times to the point where I was wondering why they were even keeping him in the game at that point. Red zone offense sometime in the first half for Ben Johnson got too cute. The end around didn't really work. Amon-Ra St. Brown was supposed to throw a football that was really delayed, and he ends up not really doing anything with it. You really shouldn't have to pull those out when dealing with a team like the Raiders. I understand you're probing them and everything, but that's a little clever by half. That can probably get thrown out of the playbook, but that's ultimately fixable by just that, throwing it out of the playbook. Once you establish the tempo, once you establish the run, you started to feed. And again, we have to go back to Jahmyr Gibbs because I know that Lions fans have had their bones to pick with a couple high draft picks for the Detroit Lions. And yes, Jahmyr Gibbs was still one of them up until this game. And I think you look at a game like this and what Jahmyr Gibbs was doing, and you see all the promise that Jahmyr Gibbs brings to you. Because Jahmyr Gibbs isn't just a running back, he's a full-on weapon. But he's also really good at that running back capacity. Not only in his speed, but in his vision for the pile, the vision for traffic, to punch through. Not to power over guys like David Montgomery or even Craig Reynolds, but to see those holes and to slink through them, to get to the outside, to go super duper fast. He was electric this game. He's my game ball, and I don't think there's any question about it at all, whatsoever. Now on the defense, you have a few things to clean up. You probably don't want to send Sam Laporta out to block Max Crosby. Thankfully, it's the only time you have to see Max Crosby, right? I think protection, though, improved. The offensive line is pretty banged up at this point. Awosika, I think, was dealing with cramps, I believe, was what I read in this game. Dan Skipper had to come in and had a nasty holding penalty on him late, but didn't really affect the overall case of the game. But nevertheless, still able to keep Jared Goff mostly protected through a lot of this, as long as you dealt with the big threat on the field, which was Max Crosby. Now, as for Jared Goff himself, overall a great body of work. I think you probably want to wonder what was going through his head on the pick six. I think that one was all on Jared Goff, looking back at the play. I know people will probably have another explanation at some point. I don't care. That's a very bad mistake by Jared Goff. But Jared Goff, nevertheless, playing another great game with a lot of yards, and I think he clocks out at an 89 passer rating for this game. So, all in all, it was a game where I felt the Detroit Lions had their chance to get right, and they rose exactly up to do just that. I know that you want to go out there, and I echo the sentiments of a man who I worked with, Aaron Torres, who said that the Lions, and by the way, he admits he's totally not biased at all because he was betting on the Lions in this game, but the Lions probably should have been up something like, 40, 50 points or so on the Raiders. Unfortunately, that's not how football goes at the end of the day. You have to deal with hiccups, bad looks, bad calls from the officials, and yes, I don't like talking about officials. I don't think the officiating crew did a very good job, and part of that also ascribes to penalties they called on the Raiders as well. But I think it really drives home where the turnover that they called in the field really shouldn't have been called a turnover. There was offsetting penalties at one point where there was a holding call that I thought was weak and a horse collar tackle that wasn't. And that wiped out a first down for the Detroit Lions. Neither of those should have been called. 2 flags got picked up early, which I thought was the right call to pick up those flags, but why are you throwing them in the first place? I think some Lions fans want to call out the official crew by name. I will just say that I think officiating across the league this year has been very poor. But you don't blame the officials when you're a good team. You win the game. And to steal a line from the past owner of the team the Lions just beat, just win, baby. I don't see these mistakes as part of a larger trend for the Detroit Lions. They have some hiccups, but they didn't get buried at all in this game. There was never a point in this game where they lost the lead at all. Once again, Detroit led wire to wire in this game. Was it not the margin that I think Lions fans and other people expected? Sure. And a lot of that was owed to things that happened. A missed field goal, a pick six, and some just other bad looks from the team. The fumble near the goal line as well. But you win in spite of those things. Those things are always going to happen in every football game. Part of the lesson for the Detroit Lions this year, who are 6-2 in a division where the next best threat in the Minnesota Vikings just lost their quarterback for the year. I've completely forgotten my thought. Oh, sorry. Let me get that back. Make a mark of that. Adequate. Part of it for the Detroit Lions is you look around the NFC North. You're 6-2. Your next closest opponent in the division just lost their quarterback for the year, feared on an Achilles injury. To take a line from a past owner of the team that you just beat, just win, baby. You're not out here to get style points. There's no AP poll. There's no college football playoff rankings. There's no strength of schedule. All you have to do is find ways to win, beat the team in front of you, and at the end of the day, it's just football, baby. Just football. And if you can keep getting games out of guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, you are in a very good spot. You're in a fantastic spot. Lions head into the bye. Their big issue right now is becoming more and more about health. The bye is coming at a perfect time for the Detroit Lions to get that health back, maybe get David Montgomery to get in here, settle in, and maybe get some looks again. After that, the Los Angeles Chargers, who've been going the wrong way in a very bad way. We'll wrap up the postgame podcast here. We're going to keep rolling the postgame show on Twitch. Thank you for all the people watching us live on Twitch. This will be out on the feeds. We're going to get a full-scale POD cast here later in this week. Don't want to miss that. We're going to probably wait until after the trade deadline so we can talk about that. We'll bring in some guests. We'll get some extra sound for you here before the podcast audience. Thank you very much. We'll see you Starside. Yes, this is continuing, and no, it's just me tonight. I know people don't like me, blah, 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 blah. But I'll bring in, I can bring in some friends. If anyone wants to see our friends from Roar of the Lions, I can bring in Matt Turner. Hold on a second. Sorry, 1 second. Where is Sean? You know who I am for Halloween? I am Sean. Thank you, all those who are saying I like you. Please don't let the self-deprecating humor throw you off. And I do want to thank all the people here who have been coming in tonight because, woo, tough game. Lovely game, though. By the way, screw you, Chris, repeating me in fantasy last week. All three of my fantasy teams are like a perfect 4-4 now. For some reason, I forgot to bench Devontae Adams. So, and like I always bench people. Sorry, I'm getting a one of our friends in here. Get Chris a cocktail. We'll take some questions here, more reactions for this game. We'll try to get the sound from Dan Campbell when he goes live. I am taking care of everything right now. We'll get you some of that. What a game, man. What a game. I think people rightly had some scub going with the game. I think we're live on YouTube as well, by the way. So thank you to the YouTube audience who is here as well. I'll try to get your chat up too. Brand new age mute site. There we go. Try to get our YouTube audience in here. We're very happy to be back on YouTube. And I see that our YouTube audience is talking about trades. And yes, I think that's the next question is, what do the Lions do at the trade deadline? I'm sorry to folks, I do not think you're going to keep Max Crosby in Detroit. That's not kind of a piece that you do trade for the Raiders. When do the Raiders fire McDaniel? If they do fire McDaniel, I think that'll probably be at the end of the year, Junk Trunk. The Raiders are one of those teams that is traditionally not going to, especially Mark Davis. He's just not going to have the money for that kind of thing. So the mask stays on. The mask stays on. Sorry. Not taking it off. I ain't leaving. We're getting our Roar of the Lions buddy Matthew Turner in here in a second. British man who has been up all night long, so we'll drag him in here. Just give me one set to set everything up. Need Dan. I don't know. Is Dan alive? Is he or has he gone to sleep? 1 second, Matt. I'm going to have to figure out where all of this stuff is. Jeremy usually has different two-person pod, two-person off air. Here we go. Let's do this. And then I can bump that up. Let me... all right. I need to turn off my camera in another view. Mm-hmm. Good Lord. What a night, my man. What a night.
What a night.
Deactivate. Yeah. two-person off-air. Start video. No, two-person off-air. Good Lord. Let's change a couple things here. Eyes up. Gotta hide Ryan's. One second, folks. This is the magic behind the scenes, and I don't like doing it. Paste, duplicate. What are you giggling about?
Oh, someone in the chat said Ryan got better looking, and I feel like that's an extreme disservice to Ryan Matthews. That's sacrilegious.
How dare you?
Ryan Matthews is an extremely good-looking human being.
Why do I have... Oh, right. Now you're Jeremy, so let me change that to...
Postgame show is about to go live, I think. In fact, they are live, but Dan Campbell's not there yet, so...
Yeah, we'll get that when I can. What's your Twitter handle now, my man? Or just ROTL UK for you?
Yeah, ROTL _ UK.
Yeah, we'll just do that for you.
Don't worry about
It's all good. It's all groovy.
Thank you.
All right. This is the crossover. This is the crossover post-game stream. That's what we're doing. For the man who stayed up all night long from the other side of the pond, Matthew Turner from Roar the Lions UK, our friends in the UK. So we'll have him on because I need company right now. What a night. First off, for Lomas Brown to be celebrated through all of this as well, on top of everything, for the new alternate helmets to be unveiled, which I thought looked better on the grays than I anticipated. I feel like we're almost onto something. Maybe swap out the pants with like black or white, and then I feel like you've got something grooving there. But either way, I think the grays are gone next year. Either way, but like, hey, win with the helmet, you're all good. And talk about the first of many classic Jahmyr Gibbs games we will have, because my man at one point was just worth more than the entire Raiders offense. And I know that's not a high bar to clear, but still a damn impressive one.
I mean, which man are you talking about? Are you talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs?
I was talking about Gibbs. St. Brown was fantastic too. He stacks up another 100-yard game, but I honestly feel like at that point, we expect that out of St. Brown, right? We expect it every night out of St. Brown.
We do. But, I mean, the point about St. Brown is that he was on 108 yards receiving through halfway through the third quarter and didn't have another catch or something like that. I mean, he seemed to be over 100 yards for, I think it was near 100 yards at halftime. So,
yes.
Amon-Ra was basically like, okay, you've done your bit. Let us take over now.
Well, the run game
just runs wild.
Yeah, the run game is where they really pushed things in the second half. Usually I expect the run to be established in the first half, but it felt like, and that's not to say they stopped passing at all in the second half, but like that's where Gibbs got into his groove. That's where I felt like we talk all about the multi-dimensional aspect of Jahmyr Gibbs, how you can use him in all different aspects of the game. That was used at 120% in the third quarter. And then Craig Reynolds started running over people too. So, like, if you're doing that, like, damn, yeah, sit on him. Sit on him. Burn the clock. Get the touchdown for Gibbs. Props to the woman who hauled Gibbs up into the Ford Field stands. That woman has some muscles. But what a night for Gibbs. What a night for Gibbs.
What a night for Gibbs. But you mentioned Craig Reynolds, and I don't think much of him as a lead back. I don't think he can be RB1. But to talk in baseball terms, he's a heck of a reliever, right? Mm-hmm. Coming in that fourth quarter, and he's shown that he can be the guy that gets the hard yards.
He's your bridge guy. Not a finisher, but like back before we started really expanding the bullpens, probably like your 7th, 8th inning guy, your guy to take you home.
Maybe. I don't know. I quite like the finisher moniker. I don't think he's a guy you put in when the game's on the line. But if you want to run a game out, I mean, I don't do baseball, I must admit. I'm borrowing terms. But like, he's facing 7 or 8 man boxes at the end of that game, and he's bouncing it outside for gains of 5, 6, 12, 15. Like, he can just have his way with them. And I don't understand why he can do that with a stacked box, but then when it's RB1 and he's facing a 6-man box, he can't do that otherwise. But, you know, I digress. Reynolds was exceptional, over 5 yards a carry, but Jahmyr Gibbs over 6 or 6 or thereabouts. It was fantastic.
All All right, I think we just missed Dan Campbell at the podium, or actually, I think it's about to start. I'm keeping an eye on it, folks. We'll try to get that live when that does happen, so we can put that. I'll share a screen with you if we do get that. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, so Jared Goff, and so we had on our show, not to plug us too much, we had a guy from YouTube who has about 10,000 subs or so equivalent sort of size to Pride of Detroit, called Hammer. He does Raiders news live today or something to that effect. And he was saying Raiders are bend, don't break. They don't give up anything big. And, you are going to take everything underneath, and it will be death by short yardage. And that is exactly what happened today. Yeah. Goff had the one brain-dead moment. But apart from that, it was an efficient night on offense. There weren't too many mistakes. We were -3 in the turnover battle, and we won by 2 scores. Brilliant night.
Like, every statistical category showed the Lions dominated this game. They just had a few errors. Part of that was that I don't even think that fumble should have been called on the field as a turnover. And that is, someone made a great point. That's why you don't call a turnover on the field liberally, and be like, oh yeah, we'll just look at it anyway later on. Because what happened there is they said the call stands, which means they don't have enough evidence to overturn things on the field. That's rough. That's really rough, because I think that could have gone either way. And if they had said that it wasn't a turnover on the field, it would have stayed Detroit Lions ball. And they were looking at a different game there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there wasn't evidence to overturn it. Damn well looks like he's down when the knee goes down, but you don't have a shot which shows them both. I don't understand why you can't have a split screen at the same time to show when the knee is down and where the ball is. I'm not a video producer here.
Twice we broke out the chains tonight, so I got reminded, as always, in an age where, speaking of baseball, we're talking about the robot umps coming very soon, that we're still breaking out the chains. All right, Dan Campbell's live.
Here comes Dan.
Yeah, let's get this up. Hold on a second.
Us getting our identity back, and that was what all the work that we put in this week was about. The whole focus was about getting back to what we do, and that was the most important thing, and that really showed through today. Was it perfect? It wasn't perfect, but ultimately we got what I wanted to get out of it, and you come away with a win.
Sorry.
I thought our defense played outstanding. Outstanding, man. You play defense like that, you can beat anybody. And offensively, man, we take the turnovers out, and we played some really good football. We were explosive. We were able to run the ball. It's, I think, one of our best rushing attacks we've had all season. Sorsdale and Yodi and Skip all battled in there at guard. I thought Decker and Sewell did an outstanding job against a
how do I end the screen share? I've got it on the wrong screen.
I've just hopefully ended the screen share.
No,
it says let's not do that again. Let's just not. Let's take those out of there. But yeah, I mean, we continued to, we let them back in. We kept letting them back in, and you can't keep doing that. But when your defense plays that good, you can overcome those. And that's stuff that we'll be able to correct, clean up. We talk about it all the time, and certainly you're fortunate when you turn the ball over 3 times and miss a field goal that you're able to come out with a win. But like I say, the most important thing was getting our identity back, and we did that. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a good spot to be in. Wins are hard to come by in this league. And anything's up for grabs in the NFC right now. And our focus right now is our own division. And so we get another win, and we help our own cause. And then now we got a chance to heal up. We're going to get some guys back after the bye that are important to us, important pieces. But look, I was proud of the fellas, man. I was proud of the coaches too. This profession, there's you come out of a tough loss like last week, and then you got to put it behind you, and you got to go back to work. And I was just, I love the fact nobody lost confidence, nobody was shaken. We knew we just needed to put the work back in and trust in trust in our process, and It's a hell of a job by everybody.
Breakout performance from Jahmyr Gibbs. It seems like you guys are really conscious about feeding him the ball early. I guess what did you say in that Raiders defense to really get him going and talk about his performance?
Well, look, that defense they played pretty dang good, and they've been pretty stingy in the run game, but we felt like there was some things that we could do, and we wanted to get Gibbs going. We wanted to be able to establish the run, and you could tell he was feeling it. He was starting to. Every week he's just gotten a little bit better and a little bit better, and I thought last week was his best game, and this week certainly surpassed that. And I think the more he gains his own confidence in his own abilities in this league, he's just going to continue to grow. And I think this was kind of the tip of the iceberg, if you will, for what he is able to do and going to be able to do. So really proud of him. I was proud of that old line, too. I mean, they just battled. So it was good to see.
Next man up so often, and your team epitomizes that. The running game, over 200 yards. You got the 152 for Gibbs. You got the 75 for Chris. And as you said, next man up. Montgomery's up. You're all with rags, and yet you still survive in a league that's tough to win.
Well, that's the credit to coaches. I think the coach has done a great job. And then I go back to every guy knows that they could be the next man that has the opportunity. It's real. And they get coached that way. They get coached as if, that they are going in. We rep them enough. And so, look, it goes all the way around. It's coaches and players.
And you're missing three or several offensive linemen shuffled around. You didn't have Montgomery. What made you think you could reestablish your run identity in this game with those guys all out?
Well, you're not going to know unless you try. So that's the combination. We just believe those guys can. There's some things they're capable of doing, and we know Sorsdale can run off the football. He's shown that. Yodi can play with good pad level and has some power, and so. Have we ever worked that combination together? No, but you got to try, and they got it going. Did a heck of a job. Hank did a heck of a job once again.
Sorry, why did you use that combination with Vaitai in particular?
Vaitai wasn't feeling real good. He's been battling.
What's your impression of the pass rush, specifically Alim McNeill, Alex Anzalone, what they were able to do today?
I'm sorry.
Your impressions of the pass rush.
Oh.
Alim McNeill and what?
Yeah, outstanding, top to bottom. Those guys really came through. That was one of the things we talked about, transition from play pass into the rush and then working the games on third down. And those guys, they all go hand in hand. Alex, Jack, all of them inside with Kaminsky and Hutch, J.O., Barnes, because they all run the pick games, the twist games. But, man, we were 6 sacks and 9 quarterback hits. I mean, that was all 100% teamwork there. So that we look like a tenacious defense. Like, that's how we expect to play defense, man. We're ferocious. We play tight coverage. We challenge. Man, I thought Jerry and Cam did a hell of a job. So it was an outstanding effort by our defense.
Dan, you talked about Gibbs quite a bit. Also, Florida had a big game as well. To get a contribution like that from rookies on offense means what?
Yeah, I mean they're a part of what we do. They're very much a part of our offense, and they have been since the beginning of the season. So the more they're able to do, the more they allow us to do. The more it sets up St. Brown, the more it sets up Josh Reynolds. I mean, the more weapons we have, that gives us more versatility, more matchups. So as long as they continue to grow, that's a good thing for all of us.
You talked about shooting yourself in the foot in the past in the third quarter there. The pick six followed by the fumble in the red zone. Mm-hmm. How do you know when a team has the poise or the moxie to kind of overcome that? How important is that in being a successful franchise?
Yeah, it's very important. Ultimately, good teams don't do that consistently. They don't have multiple turnovers, but when they do, they're able to overcome them. And I do feel like we got the right. We have guys that don't get frazzled. The wheels don't fall off. I do feel like we're pretty composed. Like even after that happened, but I think it was more anger than frustration. It was like, I can't believe we just did that. But yet, you're getting the ball right back, you know? And that's how it felt. Like, all right, we're getting the ball right back, so we'll just go do it again. We'll go down there. And so that's, man, when you have that mindset, you can overcome those things.
After the Ravens loss, you were visibly upset on Monday when you talked to us and promised that that wasn't going to happen. That kind of performance wasn't going to happen again. How validating is it to live up to that promise and have a performance like this?
I mean, look, it feels good to know that there again. I just go back and think about our identity didn't show through last week. That was not I didn't feel like that was us. That was not us. So ultimately, you believe enough, and all right, let's get back to what we do, and that is the sole focus. And so to me, when that's the sole focus and that's what you go in on, and you pull a little bit back away from the opponent you're playing, I just feel like you're going to be centered that way. And I just know the team too. I know the coaches, I know this team, and they respond. Does that 100% mean that you're always going to win? No, but it does mean that you have a pretty good feeling of when your team will bounce back and be ready to take the challenge. So I'm proud of everybody, proud of all the guys.
And you guys are in a pretty good spot right now, 62. Maybe after the 5 week, you need to make a move here at the deadline. You expect to make a move in the next 24 hours.
I just finished this game, Dave. Just give me a minute, would you? Drink of water here, maybe go back, take a shower, I mean, I don't know. We've got until what, tomorrow? So, yeah, we'll figure it out. Just let me wake up a little bit, and we'll go in and check it out.
It looks like you guys are equally comfortable running Gibbs inside and outside. Has that been a process to meld those two areas, that he's not just
Not at all. Not at all. We've never felt like he was just an outside back. Do we think – here's what the allure of some of the outside stuff is, his speed. But, I mean, well, sometimes you can use his speed to go downhill right now. It's a little bit quicker to go here than it is here and then turn back up. So, no, we don't feel like he's some finesse back that's not his deal, and he runs on his tippy toes. And we think he can do it all, We think he's a pretty good gun runner, but certainly he can run out of the dot. So, we feel like he's pretty versatile that way.
Setting myself up to run into a brick wall here, I realize, but 2 NFC contenders, Philadelphia and Seattle, made trades for Pro Bowl level talent. Do you look at your competition at all when you're weighing whether you do need to make a move?
No, I'm not. No, I don't really think of that. I just think of what do we have here now. Look, I'll talk to Brad. We've kind of gone back and forth, but I'm not, they can do and have whatever they want. We'll figure our stuff out here. I just know this, and I said this, I don't know, probably a week ago. Here's what I know 100% is whether we do something or don't do something, I trust Brad 100% that it's for the betterment of this team. It's the right thing to do. So, let's see where that goes. Good. That is not the best he's felt.
Fifth last question.
That was not the best he's felt, but like a true warrior, he just sucked it up and he went.
Sixth last question.
Last one, just really quickly. I hadn't seen it before. The Jerry Jacobs penalty. I know you got an explanation. Is that a new rule, a new point of emphasis?
What? Yeah. That one, they put that in 2 years ago, and it was that's the crack block, not the crack. You're running a sweep. Tackles cannot cut corners anymore. Like if you're a pulling tackle or tight end or fullback, you cannot take the legs out of, and neither can corners take the legs out of an lineman. Now, so it looked like he bent down and went through his hip, but
Yeah, locker room's open, guys. Due to timing, Jared will be inside. I think that's it for. Thank you, Dan.
All right, we'll end that one there. I don't know if we'll go back to anyone else. How do I get back to the normal view with you? Why do I have? There we go. Okay. Now back to 2-person off air. I said 2-person off air. What a night. So I don't even think I hit in my post-game pod about Alex Anzalone and how unbelievably well he's been playing. I'm sorry, my allergies are about to blow up.
That's you. Anzalone.
Get out. No, Anzalone, like, I don't even know. Like, I made the case that he was totally a part of this team before the season. I don't think I've been expecting him to have the kind of production that he's had week to week. And I don't think there's anyone better on this team right now than Anzalone.
Ooh, that's a big claim.
On this defense, like right now, play to play, what Anzalone's doing, like Brian Branch is fantastic. He didn't really impact too much this game later on. And again, he's coming back from a lot of injury. But like, you want to talk about healthy week to week? Show me the guy who's producing me more than Anzalone.
I completely agree. I'm right on board with you. I mean, so the knock on him coming in when he came from New Orleans was that he is a 4-year guy who spent almost 2 years on the sideline injured. And what are we doing paying this guy? And then when he came in, he's okay, but why are we re-signing him? Why are we re-signing him again? And then this year, it's exceptional. He is putting together what he's flashed. Because of injury, he's not been able to sustain. But he has flashed it before. And suddenly, an unlucky player who doesn't have a history of injuries in the same place manages to put some healthy time together. In a guy who understands the defense that Aaron Glenn is running implicitly. Like, is so innate to what he does that he's executing excellently. More than that, he's added the pass rush to his game. He's an exceptional outside linebacker.
That I think is the X factor this year for Anzalone, is like how much more involved he is on the pass rush. And to be honest, I thought by the end of this game, like, you want to talk about one way the Lions wore down the Raiders in this game, that their pass protection was completely broken by the end. I know I on our Discord, all the message I got was, we're not getting penetration tonight. We're not getting penetration tonight. We're not getting penetration tonight. And then it finally breaks down at exactly the point where you want, where you're up 2 scores, not with, shooting yourself in the foot a few times, but guess what? Like, they can't stop you anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo is now shaken up in his head, and he can't find Devontae Adams worth a lick. He can't find Devontae Adams from Eve, or the real Adam for that reason. And, like, they're toasted. They're toasted. Like, out of their own end zone, that drive, he takes, like, I know he takes 4 sacks, but on top of that, he's getting hit every play as well. Like, they're forcing him to make these awful throws that aren't home and aren't going to the right places. And the Raiders, at that point, can't just keep feeding Josh Jacobs. They're down bad. They have to make plays, and they can't. They can't. They've got him right where you want him. And a lot of that is Alim McNeill and Alex Anzalone on where they applied the pressure tonight.
I mean, the thing about Jimmy as well is that he was so efficient in a San Francisco system that had a really good offensive line. Don't give him a fantastic offensive line, and the accuracy just strays a little. I mean, I don't think that Josh Jacobs really bailed him out very well either. The 2 drops he had were not great. I mean, Jimmy was trying to check it down to gain yardage to get in 3rd and short, and it just wasn't happening for him today. I mean, he's coming back off injury. He hasn't had a good season anyway. None of the Raiders quarterbacks have. The scheme is poor on offense anyway for the Raiders. So, I mean, you're not exactly putting them in a good position to do anything. They don't use a lot of motion. That doesn't help the quarterback out. The running scheme, I mean, what has happened compared to last year? Not much has changed. And they have the rushing king in the NFL at running back, who they had on the franchise tag. And he's going at 3 yards a carry. Like, it's egregious what is happening in Las Vegas right now. And it all sits at the foot of Josh McDaniels. He is a lame duck right now.
So apparently I missed this graphic up there that over the last 2 weeks, Jahmyr Gibbs leads the NFL with yards from scrimmage for 315. Next is A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown is, by my count this year, and I shouldn't show up on his podcast at all, but like, I don't think that's a hot take at all. A.J. Brown is the best wide receiver this year in the NFL over Tyreek Hill. Like what
Really?
what AJ Brown has been doing for the Eagles is fantastic, and I feel like that requires you to sit down and watch some of those Eagles out there. But like, yes, yes. He's not going to have. You're not going to have the big home run plays that I know we're getting away from the Lions. We'll bring it back in a second, but like, you're not going to have like. I know Hill is the king of the home run plays, but Brown is the surefire thing.
If you want to take a game
AJ
away
Brown's
from
like
a
setting
team,
records out there.
Okay, but there's a record out there that he hasn't got because Tyreek Hill just took it. AJ Brown is a player that you want in a tie ball game to win a tight one when you're struggling to move the ball. But if you don't want it to get tight, you want Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the first player in, 40 years to have 1,000 receiving yards in 8 games. Like, he is unbelievable in terms of his production this year. He is on course to break the season record for receiving yards.
So is
AJ Brown.
So is AJ Brown. And AJ Brown just beat another Calvin Johnson record, which was most consecutive games with 125 plus receiving yards.
Indeed. Amon Ross and Brown wasn't that far away from it. So
no, 125 is very different from getting over 100. Like, I don't know. I know it doesn't sound like it, but like it do be like that. But bringing it back, it do be like that.
Okay.
It do be like that.
It do be. So Tyreek Hill 61 for 1,014. AJ Brown 60 for 939. So Tyreek is 75 ahead.
I think that.
And 3 touchdowns ahead as well.
Yeah,
8
yeah.
versus 5.
Those are small counting things. Like, I don't care. Like, also they got to beat up on the Broncos. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Sure.
Like the Eagles have gone through the hardest.
Is this the Broncos that beat the Kansas City Chiefs last weekend? Same Broncos?
Yeah, but still, like, you're only as good as your last game. Sometimes it's the game you play on the field there. It's like it's like
in preseason I picked the Lions to lose to the Broncos, and that defense is unbelievably good right now. You have a look at what they did to the Chiefs. You have a look at what they did the week before that. That defense has gone from worse in the NFL and worse maybe in NFL history.
I don't agree with that sentiment, if only because too, like, they've got a couple of decent pedigree pieces. Everything else is just piecemeal at this point, and I think some of that might be gone here before 4 p.m. on Halloween. That does bring me to looking ahead now, because the Lions are coming into a very well-timed bye. And then coming out of that bye week is the Chargers. Then to the Bears and the Packers, both at home. And my God, the Packers look awful. They look
awful.
Terrible. Like, in a way that I was not anticipating. And yet, even though, like, I know the Vikings are 4-4, but even if Kirk Cousins hadn't gone down, I wouldn't fear them like this. And with this schedule being the way it is, the Chargers have ended up worse than I've anticipated. And I'm not sure I really fear them anymore, even at home for this matter. That I'm just not. I know they got the get right against the Bears, but like, man, they're going to be beat up playing the Jets on I believe Monday night. I believe it's a Monday night game. Yeah, they play the Jets on Monday night, which awful. But that's,
let me ask you this question:
and that
do
goes
you fear the Bears or the Packers more?
No.
Which team is better, Bears or Packers?
Packers.
I heartily disagree.
I don't think you're going to keep getting these games out of Tyson Bagent. Like, or the Bears have been fine right now with what they've had as far as, like, they got the win over the Raiders, but you're not going to be able to play all their games just doing handoffs after a while. You want to go into something the Lions want to do. They want to stop the run. They weren't great at it early in this game for it, but once they put you in a hole, like, they'll be able to take those apart. I'm also still someone who really wants Jalen Johnson to come to Detroit. Like, I think that is, you want to talk about potential trade deadline moves that could happen, but, like, no, I am not, like, as bad as the Raiders are, I'm still not putting the Bears above them. The Bears are one of the worst teams in this league. And I don't think the Raiders changes that.
The Bears are such a weird team because Jalen Johnson, before he got his 2 picks against the Raiders, he was getting picked on by the Raiders. He drew 2 DPIs. He didn't look good in coverage. They were targeting him because he was legitimately playing badly. So Jalen Johnson may be an upgrade over Jerry Jacobs, but I'm going to run with my guy. It's going to be close.
I don't even give a shit about who your guy is or anything like that. What the Lions need now is bodies. Like you need insurance policies, and you need players who can go out there and play.
Especially with Khalil Dorsey going down with injury as well.
Yeah, it's not a slight on Jerry Jacobs. It's not a slight on Khalil Dorsey. You need more pedigree talent out there. You don't even need the home runs. Everyone's been talking about Surtain and Max Crosby. You don't need a home run trade deadline acquisition. What you need is someone who is serviceable, competent, and maybe someone like Jalen Johnson, someone who you like. My main argument on Jalen Johnson is, are the Bears going to give him the extension he deserves? So, and then the next question is, are the Bears going to deal with an in-division rival? Which, granted, the Lions were already making deals with the Vikings several times. So I don't think that's a big issue. Either way, what the Lions really need are bodies right now. Part of that can be healed at several positions with the bye week. We will probably see David Montgomery, if not for the Chargers game, absolutely for certain when they play the Bears. After that, the next question is offensive line. And you're not getting, and I'm going to tell people right now, you're not getting good offensive line talent to trade. Please stop. Don't even mention it to me. I don't care. The next one is probably going to be D-line. That said, I thought Josh Paschal played competently well tonight. He got involved on the other side. And really, I think the edges really helped set up a lot of the pressure for plays up the middle where we saw McNeill and Anzalone plying their trades and getting sacks. So I think that's fine.
The biggest compliment I can pay to the offense, to defensive line tonight, is that Aiden Hutchinson might have been the worst performing player on it. Didn't see him today. Like, he just didn't get much pressure, and it backs up what's happened the last 2 weeks. And you know what? If Aiden Hutchinson can be an average D lineman when he's down and elite when he's up, that's fine. Charles Harris didn't do a huge amount, but Kaminsky was great. Alim was fantastic. Benito got burned a bit through the middle. So did our newbie third rounder, Broderick Martin. He, in that drive when Josh Jacobs just burned us through the middle, was not especially fantastic, but never mind. It was one drive. We go again, and that was fine. D-line is a place where we can definitely improve, and there probably are people that we can go and get. But yeah, Julian Aquara had a good day too. Like, what do you want to do here? Peripheral defensive lineman backs up.
Again, what I keep talking about for the deadline is you want something to bolster up your depth. I'm not worried about depth on the D-line.
No, me neither.
Like, I'm worried about depth at DBs, though. And that's where I'd really, really want to see the Lions exercise something. But I also feel like this is weird, right? Like, unlike baseball and the NBA, when you know teams are clear, but like, you have a delineation to know when a team is a clear buyer and a clear seller. And that buying and selling is correlated very, very closely to how good their record is, right? In the NFL, I don't think that correlation is as clear cut. Good teams can still end up either not making moves or even sometimes selling some leftover pieces at the deadlines. Bad teams, I've seen teams like poorer teams still make trades at the deadline thinking they can make a push because the deadline still is coming before the halfway point of the season. And in many cases, good or bad, a lot of teams just end up staying pat because the value of draft picks is so valuable that it's really hard to convince teams on what you should be giving up sometimes. And the problem is also it's your cost value on those trades. Mid-season, when the need is there, that cost goes up. Like, I think, what was it today for the Seahawks made the trade for who was it from the Giants?
Leonard Williams.
And I think they gave up a third rounder for him.
More than that. It was it a second and a fifth?
Okay.
It was. So the Giants absorbed almost all of the salary in the deal. So the Seahawks don't have to basically pay him anything.
Yeah, but that's going to happen in any trade anyway. Like, this isn't the NBA where we can just offload like salaries all over the place. This is why I'm saying when I see people say Patrick Surtain for a first, it's not going to be just a first. If they move on from it at all. Because if you are a team that wants to hit a little bit of a reset button like the Broncos, you're not going to give up that key piece. Likewise, the Raiders, as down on their luck as they are, I wouldn't give up. If I was a Raiders fan, I wouldn't want to give up Max Crosby for the world right now. You have to put yourself in the other team's shoes a little bit when deciding these trades. Just because a guy is on a losing team doesn't mean he's available. And so I would say we should be a little more realistic on what's going to happen at the trade deadline. And even if the Lions have these clear-cut needs, don't be upset if nothing happens at the trade deadline. Because likely nothing will happen. You heard Dan's answer there. Like, clearly, like, and like, look, coaches aren't going to give you much in that spot to begin with. I just don't, I don't know. I feel like the Lions feel like, of the problems we've mentioned, Matt, they can still handle some of these in-house.
Yeah, I agree. The backup actually has worked better than expected. Even Will Harris, who had a really bad day against the Ravens, had a pick the game before. You know, like, people like that get maligned. We played 3 backup interior offensive linemen today, and for the most part, Goff had time to throw, and we ran fairly effectively. Like, what do you want from this team, from its backups? I mean, I think that most teams would have Josh Reynolds as a backup wide receiver. And yet he comes in here and he's been fantastic all year and he's very much a starter here. The Titans of all teams jettisoned him. Like, we have made people of other people's backups. And you have a look at the backups we have right now, and I see players that could start elsewhere. So maybe we're looking at backups on backups unless you're making a really big trade. Everyone who wants Max Crosby, I ask you, do you want to pay 3 first-round picks? Because I feel like the starting price is maybe 2 firsts, a second, and a third. But maybe it's 3 firsts. If you... 0-8 for the Lions, or 0-9, do you think that trading Penei Sewell's on the table? Or Aiden Hutchinson the year afterwards, say if you were in that position, would you trade him for 2 first-round picks? I don't think you would. And Max Crosby may be on a veteran contract now, but he's still the lifeblood of that team. If you trade him, you're telling your fan base you do not care anymore. And we did that with Slay, but Slay never felt like he was the linchpin to the entire team.
Slay also had the compounding problems of that. You also had a regime that just wanted to get rid of him as well. Because
they wanted
it. Like, them and Quandre Diggs absolutely went for less than market value back then. Which
you mean one of the best safeties still in the NFL, Quandre Diggs?
Yeah, one of the best slot.
So painful.
Nickel corner slot safeties. Like, good Lord, Quandre Diggs is.
I'd still have him back.
Elite level. It would change everything about the DB group if Quandre was still here.
George MSU says, is this in Stars good general manager? All of his draft picks are still here. They are so much better than people thought they'd be. He's taken effective people in value positions, and they may not have been in the most effective positions, apart from Penei Sewell.
Right.
But they've been the difference sometimes. I mean, tight end, Sam Laporta. I got given a stat during the game today, which said that he's broken the franchise record for receiving yards as a rookie tight end. We've had less than half the games in the season. We've had 3 first-round tight ends in the last decade. He's amazing.
He's doing numbers that haven't been seen since Mike Ditka's rookie year, and I know most people think of Mike Ditka as the Bears coach. We have to impress upon people, Mike Ditka, when he was playing in the NFL, made the tight end position what it would become today. You don't have the modern tight end without what Mike Ditka did. He was like that guy in the 60s who had 1,000 yards as a tight end rookie. So anytime you see Sam Laporta's name up against Mike Ditka, just know that is incredibly high praise. Incredibly high praise.
I mean, we hit, didn't we? Mayer was rated ahead of him. Kincaid was rated ahead of him. Who was the other one? The Packers guy. Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, yeah.
All of them coming into the process were ahead of him in the draft process. I don't think he was tight end 4. I think he might have been tight end 3, but I don't care. He's tight end 1. It's not close. He's so polished, and the blocking is so much better than anticipated. He started out at H-back a couple of times and then flexed out into the line, but I think he could actually be
good,
that.
But I would really hope he doesn't have to block Max Crosby again in his career. That seemed like a mismatch. Yeah,
that didn't work very well.
But who's really blocking him too much like that, too? I mean, like, what are you going to do? It's Max.
Absolutely.
Max is a force of nature. He's going to get some every now and then.
Definitely. I just want to show some love to Alim. I know that you mentioned it before, but
really coming on.
He's had 2 games where he's wrecked it. He had 1 last year, and we thought this maybe is the start of something. He's had 3 now after today. And I mean, I saw someone say in the chat, we've not beaten any good teams. And if you say Kansas City in game 1 were not exactly fantastic, I do buy that. And actually, I have made this point before. The Lions are going to go through this entire season not playing someone that I consider to be a legit Super Bowl contender apart from Kansas City week 1. Because I don't believe Dallas are that team. I just don't think that offense is good enough.
Regardless, I think Dallas is still making the playoffs, though.
Oh, absolutely, they're making the playoffs. We've played loads of playoff teams, but do I think they're serious contenders? Kansas City will be, but we're not playing the Eagles. San Francisco, I mean, are they going to make the playoffs? And I don't think anyone's talking about that right now, but they've lost 3 straight. They're 5-3. They're not leading the division. Like,
we haven't talked about. I hate doing mid-season, but we are like second in the NFC right now.
Joint second in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. No other team's got 7 wins bar Philly.
Yeah, and like every AFC leader is 6-2, and the Lions are 6 and. I think the only team that's 6-2 in the NFC.
Yes. So Seahawks are 5-2, but they have the tiebreaker on us, obviously. So if they win their game in hand, they'll be ahead of us. But I mean, the Seahawks aren't a good team.
But
let's just get that out of the way.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it too. It's not like the Lions have been beating up on. It's not a bevy of bad teams too. Like looking between the Buccaneers and the Falcons, I really do believe one of those is still winning the NFC South, and I refuse to make this like delineation to like if you're in the playoffs, you're a good team at the end of the day. We still have to see more than a half of football still, at least 10 more weeks by my count. I think some of that can change on a few of these teams. Like, you know, I look at the teams that the Lions have beaten, like, yeah, Chiefs will continue to be great. Falcons or Bucks, one of those will rise. And, like, look, you just got hit on the nose by the Ravens. I heard some stat about teams the first time they play Lamar Jackson, their record is utterly abysmal. Because
like 2-13 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I understand there's a larger narrative to be said about how Lions deal with mobile quarterbacks, but you're also dealing with an incredibly good quarterback. Some people still think Lamar Jackson can't throw. Like, that was legitimate throwing. That wasn't just the Lions were getting housed by a bad quarterback. That was legitimate throwing. Everyone I know who covered the Ravens say he's got a legitimate connection with Zay Flowers, who they picked up in the draft this year. Like, I don't find any shame at all in what happened against the Ravens. It looks embarrassing in the moment, but like, and I know Lions fans you are all conditioned to hate national people because this, that, and the other reason. I am here to tell you right now, national people were 100% far more patient and more forgiving to the Lions losing to the Ravens than anyone was local covering the Detroit Lions. They understood it, the forest for the trees. All the local people freaked the fuck out.
Well, because it scared them. And I mean, I understand why, but the national media, they are fickle, but they don't rise and fall as quickly as we do. We are more reactionary.
Very well going into this year, the Lions are a good team, and in the NFL, you're sometimes going to run into a buzzsaw, and it doesn't matter how you lose. There's no AP poll. There's no college football playoff committee. There's no style points. You don't get anything for style points, your strength of schedule, anything. The only thing I can really say is that point differential at the end of the year is a really good metric that we sometimes use. It's a very good metric to know who the best teams are. Like, point differential, usually the best point differential teams in the league, you can tell they're going to go far into the playoffs. Lions still need to get the point differential up, but either way, plus 35 right now, like, it's not negative, and it's not single digit. It's still good. Like, and I just need Lions fans a little bit, because I could sense that panic again in this first half of the game, and I just wanted people to just step back and realize that we're not even halfway through the season.
Let me ask you this, not to be glib or to do it because we're handing out awards or anything like that. Who's the MVP right now? Presuming that it's a quarterback, because it always is, who's the MVP? Because I have it down to maybe 3, and they're all in the AFC. But one of them for me is definitely Lamar, because of the strides he's made this year throwing the ball. He's been exceptional. I
think the more good games the Ravens stack, and I know they just struggled with the Cardinals. And their 2 losses on the year have come in very odd situations. They lost on the road to the Steelers, and they lost a close one to the Colts. Now, granted, that was also a Colts game that still had Anthony Richardson at the time, who was phenomenal, and if he hadn't get hurt, I would have given him the Rookie of the Year, like, right away. Steelers, I can't help you there. That seems like the oddball game. And they've had a lot of these one-possession wins over teams like the Bengals and the Cardinals, and only the real convincing wins they've had were Lions and Texans, but I think they're going to stack more good games, especially as I'm looking further and further into their schedule. They're going to play some real world beaters near the end of the year, and if Lamar Jackson posts a good game against the 49ers or the Dolphins, I think that will solidify him as MVP. I agree with you. I think they're all in the AFC at this point, unless Jalen Hurts makes a late case push for himself. But I think Jared Goff's MVP status kind of died with the Ravens game. Didn't really help himself so much this game with the pick 6. Like, I think that pick 6 was all on Jared Goff. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes, but that one, like, we don't need to do this thing where we defend Jared Goff every time he makes a mistake. He made a boneheaded mistake on the pick 6.
When you look at it, you think he's throwing the ball away, and you see it on the replay, and he's trying to get it to some Brown. And he really should be throwing the ball away. And he just makes a bad decision. And that's okay. The thing about the Lions, which is the most impressive this season, outside of everything to do with personnel, it's about mentality.
It's resilience,
Absolutely. Every time they've given up a really big play like that, a pick 6 or a big play on defense or anything like that, they come back and either grind clock and score, or they put points on quickly. They've rebounded in the best possible way. They are mentality monsters.
They were going to get a touchdown on this drive if it hadn't been then for the fumble call near the goal line. Like, that was their bounce back for it. And again, that's something I credit Jared Goff, is that even when he makes a mistake, that is admirable in several ways. So the Lions team is resilient in that regard, and they're starting to get better and better performances out of guys they want. Jameson Williams is still a little bit to develop. I also don't think there was a lot of points in this game where the Lions really needed to employ Jameson Williams to do something like take the top off on this game. Like,
or do a jet sweep.
Yeah, like, we just haven't seen the points in the game where Jameson Williams is going to sit down and be comfortable. And, like, I know Lions fans are losing patience with him. I would urge that patience, because we just saw that patience pay off for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely. Gibbs has been fantastic. I mean, it's very clear to me that Goff and Williams are not on the same page, and it's not Williams. Goff cannot handle how quick Williams is to the ball. So Williams was running basically, I don't think it was a wheel route, but it was some sort of outside throw. And Williams was there half a second or a second before Goff got the ball to him. And so the throw's behind him, and it's a timing route. And so that's on the quarterback. Like, you've got to get the ball to him in stride. It's one of those things, you know, you look at it and the ball's slightly behind him, and maybe you should catch it if he's a surefire receiver. But Devontae Adams is still a wide receiver 1 in this league, and one of the better ones, and he was having trouble doing the same thing. Are you seeing the Raiders fans asking for Adams to be cut? Like, I know Adams has had his fantastic years in the NFL. We have been at the recipient of that.
I mean, to be honest, if I was Adams, I'd be demanding a trade out of town at this point too. But that man is
internally, I'm sure he probably has had the word. You've got to imagine he has.
I
wonder if he's being left at Wayne
publicly right now with how badly he's being used there. If I may,
it's really bad.
Yeah. If I may take a break, I want to thank some people here. And I'll try to go quick. I know we've been on for a while, so we haven't done any kind of thanks, and I know some ads have rolled. So Brenham 30, been with us for 37 months in a Lions W and a victory bye week, huzzah. Izzy 82, 31 months using Prime, saying 6-2, let's effing go. Go Loins from someone named No Decaf, don't know who that loser is. Liam R 919191. Oh, fuck the Clet Blakeman. Prime 11 months. I know everyone wants to make him out to be the bogeyman. NFL officiating is just bad all around this year. Let's see here. Justin Gasinger, excuse me. Prime 25 months. Let's effing go. Hell yes. Gibbs breakout. A bit from Raw Sports Opinion. 6-2 motherfuckers. LFG FTP Lions 100. The Dynamite Prime 9 months. LFG. Zern Baby Zern, Prime 32 months. That game was frustrating, but the highs rocked. Drones over DFW, Prime 9 months. Kings of the North. You rated. Thank you, Matt. Let's see here. Lenoble 1995, Tier 1, 10 months. Awesome atmosphere at Ford Field tonight. Gibbs is him. Fantastic atmosphere at Ford Field. That's going to be all year long, and I love it. Doot-da-doo. Tier 1, 9 months. We love you, Chris. Thank you. Someone requested a Ruby cameo. I'll try to get Ruby in here before the end of the show. Jam Mitch, Tier 1, 6 months. 6 months for 6 wins. Junk Trunk gave out a community sub. Thank you. Sundog, Tier 1, 10 months. This will go down as Clete Blakeman versus Blonde Girl on the front row in my mind, and only one of those could lift Jahmyr Gibbs. And Joshua Mercer just gave out 5 community subs. Thank you all, as always, to all the support you give. And welcome, as always, to our YouTube audience now that we're able to broadcast on both. I'm not even sure how I managed to broadcast on both. Jeremy's going to ask me later, and I'm going to tell him I don't know. I don't know how it happened.
I think if you're still using the program I think you used to stream, it just runs off what the last person did. And so if it was set up to do that, it just does it again.
But I'm using Streamlabs, so I'm very...
Yeah, I do as well. So,
yeah, but he was messing around with something else. I don't know. He might have figured out something while I was busy with my other job.
I mean, we always did dual streaming, and I didn't realize we weren't technically allowed to do that.
It's because we were Twitch partners, so like they just changed the rules for us recently.
I think we're affiliates, and I think that was potentially this.
It's
okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That makes sense.
I
mean,
yeah.
So just on the running game, Gibbs 152 today. Montgomery's high is 121 against Green Bay. People clamoring for Montgomery, but Gibbs is getting it done.
He is. He really came onto it here in a game without Montgomery, and I think Montgomery does help overall on what they want to do. But like Gibbs showed you what exactly he can do when he's got good vision to it right now. I have some next gen stats here, and I want to go over some of the. Sorry, hold on. Our alumni Mansur Shaheen. I got busy reading some of his tweets, and I always love when he how cheeky he gets. But next gen stats: the Lions' defense generated pressure on 71.4% of Jimmy Garoppolo's dropbacks, the highest pressure rate by a defense in a game since 2018. 5 different Lions generated 3+ pressures. Garoppolo was sacked 6 times on the night. The Lions' defense also allowed the lowest completion percentage over expected, minus 20.1%, in a game this season. Garoppolo finished 10 of 21 for 126 yards and an interception. Jimmy G's completion percentage, 47.6%. Average completion probability, 67.7%. Completion percentage over expected, minus 20.1%. This all goes back to the story that this is probably going to go down as a game that was won by Jahmyr Gibbs and the defense. overall. And honestly, without the blunders that the Lions have on offense, this game isn't close at all. And even then, Lions still get back on the schneid. They lost their streak of 20-plus point games. They got right back against the Ravens last week. They got right back to it, and they still win by 2 scores.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? It's just so lovely to have a team that is fundamentally maybe as good on defense as it is on offense right now, especially against bad teams. We're beating up on them on defense. So terrific. Let me test you with the rest of the schedule. Sure. So at Chargers versus Bears versus Packers, at Saints, at Bears versus Broncos, at Vikings, at Cowboys versus Vikings after the bye.
So I just want to say too, that Chicago game is the only one of those games you mentioned where the Lions are going to be playing outdoors.
Indeed. And 10th of December, not the coldest it's going to be.
Sure. And it
could get worse.
Ultimately it's the Bears.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they've got 4 running backs that I'd like to have on this team. So I'm not going to rule them out in potentially a snow game.
Sure. No,
we'll see what happens.
They still have Donta Foreman. We remember what Donta Foreman did last year, folks.
Oh, I wanted him so bad in this offseason. How many of those games are the Lions underdogs?
None of them.
Not even against Dallas?
No.
At Dallas?
They are maybe an underdog against. They are probably a 3.5 point underdog against Dallas.
I'm with you on that.
Which connotes a half point over home field advantage.
ESPN has next week's matchup, Philly at Dallas, as 58% in Dallas's favor. Philly, the only team being 7-1 in the NFC. We aren't underdogs apart from one game against Dallas in Dallas. Do you think first seed in the NFC is a realistic expectation? Or hope? Not expectation, hope.
That's not going to fully depend upon us at the end of the day, given what's going to happen with the Eagles, and I don't expect them to drop that game. Dallas did this week do exactly what they wanted. They beat up on a matchup that was extremely favorable to them, on an LA Rams team that cannot protect Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford that once he gets hit, he turns into just a pile of nerves. They got exactly what they wanted this week. It looked embarrassing for the Rams. It charged up Cowboys defenders. But talking to one of my Cowboys friends at work who said the same, who kind of sighed and said, "Why can't we do this against the Eagles?" That's the outlook on Dallas. They're just not going to beat up on the good teams like that. I don't know where we sit on the seeds right now. Quite honestly, I don't care. What I do know is that I know it's 2 right now.
Sure.
I know that.
Yeah. Sorry.
What I do know is that before December gets rolling, maybe even before the middle of December, the Lions could have the division locked up.
So I have the division ranking with Cousins out as the Bears the second best team in the division. I expect them to finish number 2.
That's going to come down to earth. Like, they just can't play games where Tyler or Bagent just hands the ball off.
Who's the better quarterback between Jordan Love and Tyson Bagent? And don't just answer instantly.
No, it's Jordan Love.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Because as bad as Jordan Love has looked, he still has that individual talent to him. Tyson Bagent, like, let's not do this. Let's not pretend like we've got another Brock Purdy on our hands with Tyson Bagent. Like, I don't
think Tyson Bagent's a good quarterback. But Tyson Bagent's one good game is better than any game Jordan Love has had this year.
Tyson Bagent's just handing off the ball.
I don't think that's entirely fair. I'm not trying to argue that Bagent is a good quarterback. I am trying to argue that Jordan Love is in the 30s in starting quarterbacks.
For all the NFL I've watched, a guy that doesn't come out of Shepherd College, sitting out there as a UDFA, everyone passing on him, and then suddenly just turns it on and becomes better than even a quarterback like Jordan Love, who is struggling. Jordan Love ultimately, at the end of the day, still has the measurables on his side. He still has his physical traits that made him appealing to why the Packers drafted him. Now, that doesn't mean he's a great passer, and that doesn't mean he makes a lot of great decisions. But he always has that to lean back on, because at some point Tyson Bagent's not going to stop making those decisions as well, especially when the Bears are just not going to be able to hide it.
There's no doubt that Bagent physically isn't as talented as Jordan Love.
He's not
in terms
mentally
of
as talented either. Like, I know that's a low bar for Jordan Love, but he's not mentally talented either. I know what you want to say. I know you want the story to be right for it, but I'm saying, like, you're asking me to put money on one of the things, and I'm still taking Jordan Love. Yeah, I'm not going to feel great about it. If you gave me another one quarterback to compare it against, sure. But, like, Bagent's less than Mr. Irrelevant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do think that's down to recruiting, though. Like, I think that, so out of the Senior Bowl, he was rated as one of the best quarterbacks out there at that time. And I know that's a low bar too, but I think it's a data point of many data points. What I would say about the Bears versus the Packers is, even if the Packers are a more talented team individually, I think the Bears' offensive line is playing better right now. I think the Bears' running game is playing better right now. I think that DJ Moore is the best wide receiver compared to the two teams.
I still think the defense for the Packers is just more talented. They just haven't been playing great games.
There's only 8 or 9 games left for them, though. How many more games do they need to start being good?
I don't know. Some teams just really turned on around this time of year. Like, again, this is kind of the Ravens thing where people, like, sometimes you need a few months to turn it on. We always see back half performances are just different than others. I don't think this Bears hope is going to last much longer, and they're going to crash very
they
hard.
Don't deserve to be hopeful with the league as it is right now.
No,
every
but
single
I mean, like,
team apart from the Lions,
even to have some talent, some damn talent around him. I think that's going to go away very quickly. Like, and unfortunately, we won't know it until they really play the Lions, because they're going to play the Saints and the Panthers. I think they lose handily to the Saints, and they might lose to the Panthers.
Saints is a really weird team, isn't it? Because they have had some really bad games.
They are making gumbo out of chicken shit right now. Like, their team is just not. This is the year a lot of that voodoo magic with what they were doing with their salary cap just came crashing down. Like,
and then they find players like Rashid Shaheed, who every time he touches the ball looks like an absolute beast, but they don't actually manage to scheme him.
I left him on my fantasy bench this week.
Damn.
To be fair, I had much better to play.
I'm having a terrible year.
To be fair, I had much better to play there, but I don't think we're going to really get the answer on the Bears to what you are desiring, but, like, of the two, I fear dropping a game to the Packers more than I fear dropping a game to the Bears, of what remains.
I mean, I don't even think that we should be fearing dropping any game to any of the teams in the division, because right now they should all they should all be tanking. All of them in our division. There is no prospect for any of the teams winning a playoff game. Never mind getting to the playoffs. All of the teams are in need of a quarterback. All of them, the Bears included. They all needed draft.
You, however, know this, that the Lions didn't have anything to play for in that final game, and they still went out and beat last year, and they still went out and beat the Packers. Teams still want to play well in the NFL. There is no tanking like the NBA. Teams like the Bears and the Packers, still their players possess the ultimate X factor, which is pride. They may not like their coach, they might like their situation on the team, but damn it, they want to go out there and play hard, because that's their entire life, is trying to play hard-nosed football. And at some point, I think the Packers are more capable of playing for pride than the Chicago Bears, who something seems to be going on there with Max Eberflus. Which is going to be very funny, because I know Bears fans think they're going to walk away from Eberflus, and my working hypothesis is the ruling family of the Chicago Bears just is not the type to fire coaches before their contracts are up. And Max at least
doesn't sound like anyone that you're familiar with.
There's a lot of owners like that in the NFL, though. There's a lot of owners like that. Like,
of course.
Why do you think
Brandon
Staley? Why do you think Brandon Staley still has a job?
I think Staley's a very different kettle of fish, though. I would still be firing him at the end of the year, but he has shown me enough to see out the deal.
We were talking about last year firing him, and they didn't, and people were shocked by that. And the X factor is Dean Spanos is a cheap MFer. And also, he doesn't own likewise, like the Bears, doesn't own his own stadium, doesn't have more sources of revenue coming in. Same case with the Raiders, too. Absolutely. I've made that point. He's not going to get fired at the end of this year because they don't want to pay him the cash. Like, the Cardinals hung on to Kingsbury for so long, so damn long, just because they can't afford to pay two coaches at the same time. So, in that vein of things, the only way that the Raiders get out of the contract for their head coach is if Bill Belichick goes into the front office and the Patriots trade for him with a pick swap. That is the only way. It's not happening. No, but it's the only way that the Raiders get out of the deal because they're not paying him the cash to get rid of him. There's going to be too many good options as far as coaches this year between Ben Johnson, fans
I don't believe he's leaving.
We'll see about that, but I just want to get to the next point. It's like Lincoln Riley has made it clear he wants to go to the NFL, and fans, you might want to close your ears for this, but Jim Harbaugh is going to be in the NFL next year. The NCAA isn't going to give him a choice. So, we're already starting to build our case for some of those, and I believe there's going to be some interesting hires and other coordinators that do step up eventually, although, man, it really doesn't feel like this year we've kind of run the gamut of coordinators that were available except for Ben Johnson.
Pride of Detroit is in the chat saying,
Bridget Case, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the raid. 41 people are in here. We're still going strong late at night, my friend. Is it light where you at in the UK right now? Has dawn broken?
So because of daylight savings time, the clocks went back last week, and no, it's very dark.
Oh, I forgot you guys have that. But thank you guys so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. We're Pride of Detroit. Matthew Turner's here from Roar the Lions UK, our unofficial British brethren, and we're just basking in this Monday night victory. Way late. I'm on the West Coast. Not late for me. Way late for Matty boy. So
I got a day off tomorrow, so I'm reveling in this.
What a damn game, man! I'm just gonna kick back on that. By the way, if we can, we are in a few months going to be starting our Movember charity drive. If anyone would like to just stick by next few days, I can't say who we're doing it for. Last year, we raised about $44,000. A lot of it went to the Michigan Alzheimer's Association. I think our goal this year is we want to hit $50,000. We pick a couple of charities for very good causes. We do a lot of things. When we hit certain donation amounts, we punish ourselves, torture ourselves. Daddy Goff emote is fantastic. There will be some interesting, fun things. We're talking about like a Hot Ones stream or I will do a cooking stream. Maybe play with Ruby for a while. We do. This is our favorite time of year, and the Lions are 6-2. So please, if you could stick by. I know it's the 30th right now, 31st in some parts of the country, but it would mean a lot if you could help give in the next few days when that does go live. Jeremy should have more information soon.
I'm really trying to find hard how many teams win by 2 scores when losing the turnover battle 3-0, but I can't find the stats. But I would wager that it's pretty low.
I think that, again, speaks to how good the team is, right? I'm sure, I don't know what Jeremy's take's going to be. I'm sure there might be questions about how sloppy this game was played in some aspects, but turnovers kind of strike you at the weirdest effing times, man.
Mentality monsters, though, they come back. They come back. And, I mean, so the underrated players of the day, Tracy Walker had a hell of a day. He had a really good sack, but he was great in coverage. I think he had a pass breakup, some nice tackles in there as well. He was great. Cam Sutton got beat deep by Adams, but apart from that, I thought he had a good day. Apart from that one rep, Kirby Joseph had a really good day as well. Jack Campbell had the low hit to the quarterback, but apart from that, he had a really good day too.
Come here, buddy.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. I can do that. Oh, cat. Luchador cat. You need to get him a mask. Yeah, I just thought this was one of the all-around performances for the Lions this season, and we've had a few of them, but Gibbs was fantastic, and he actually did a lot of his receiving work in the first quarter, and then he was just on the ground, but Sam Laporta was fantastic. Khalif, I really still want to see Khalif get more involved in the game because he's very capable of it, but we just haven't got him involved yet. Maybe we're saving him for the playoffs.
Say hello to the people, Ruby. I'm getting him out of his bed. He does not like this at all. I'm going to piss him off pretty well.
Oh.
This is Ruby. This is my very big cat who used to be a stray and weighed about a portion of what he weighs right now. Now he's about 10 years older, much more sleepy, loves treats, and is, everyone's spamming Ruby right now. It was International Cat. It was National Cat Day the other day, I believe. Lions were asking for pictures, and he got dressed up in the questionable tease stuff. Here, show them. Oh no! Here, come down, Ruby. Come down. Okay. I get it. Oh, there we go. Oh, big guy. I'm sorry. He's teed. I usually don't pick him up with the bed.
I mean, you got to make him comfortable. It's late. It's almost midnight.
Oh, Ruby.
So, no, it's way past midnight. It's 10 to 1, right?
It's 10 to 10 where I'm at.
10 to 10, yeah.
We should
10 to 1 Eastern time.
Yeah. We should slow down at some point here, but I do see there is quite a few people watching. And I see there is a poll up on our I should probably throw this poll up on our chat here too. Let me see. Where do I do a poll?
I was 13 yards away from cashing for $150 on a bet for Jahmyr Gibbs receiving yards. That sucks.
So here was a poll. Here was a poll on YouTube, because I see Jeremy is over on YouTube right now. And I'm trying to figure out where I go to start a poll on Twitch for my mod view. How many wins right now are you saying the Lions are going to finish the year with? 14. You're up to 14 now.
Up to 14. I was at 14 preseason.
I have to readjust. I was 10-7, and I think there's only about maybe 2 losses left. 2 to 3 losses left on the schedule. And I will go ahead and mark myself at 13-4.
I think 13-4 is probably where they end up. They'll probably drop. As much as I want to see us beat Dallas and maybe drop them down a seeding or 2, it's going to be a tough game, and they'll probably just drop one unexpectedly somewhere. It happens. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
No team looks unbeatable this year, and you don't win all the games you should win. But there's nothing which says to me that this team is going to go on an extended losing streak.
No, you have to really get bitten hard by injuries at that point, and I think the Lions are someone who are on the mend right now. Especially in this bye week, you probably get Montgomery back, and everyone else that you're probably missing is done for the year. I think I don't know what they're doing with Vaitai right now. I know they're trying to really manage him very well. I think there was also, Awosika left this game. I think they said something about cramps. So you got to watch your interior O-line at this point, but not terribly a ton of concerns right now.
So Dan specifically mentioned or was asked about Hal in the press conference, and he said he wasn't feeling too good, which is not the best news, especially because last week he played. I don't think he aggravated his injury.
Oh, are you talking about Vaitai or?
Vaitai, yeah, Hal Vaitai. He laterally looked very sluggish. He was fine up and down, but if anyone was trying a swim move on him and was trying to get by him to the side, he was struggling really badly. And I think his injury hurt him a lot more than he let on, and he was just trying to play through it. But I potentially should have gone on IR. Maybe. It's tough.
Well, it's tough because you're going to start battling into IR. Well, actually, I don't know. You have limited IR return designations, I believe. I'm not...
Yes, you do. You have 5, and we have had a couple already.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I'm trying to remember who's all potential to come back, because Gardner Johnson probably isn't.
So Gardner Johnson posted on Instagram this afternoon saying coming back shortly, or something to that effect, like I'm back. Or
we'll see. That's a tough injury to come back. If he comes back from, I mean, listen, some guys are coming back much faster than we thought. Aaron Rodgers is out here coming back almost suspiciously
He's going to be
quickly.
back.
Yeah,
He's going to be back.
I have some questions about that one. I have some questions about what dolphins he was seeing in South Beach, Florida, and what kind of programs they offer and supplements they offer. But I know the NFL doesn't like talking about that, so sure, fine, whatever. Overall, can I bring it to a smoother thing as we kind of get deeper in here, and I'll try to watch some stuff from chat as well. I know we're going on 2 hours here. I'll try to take some questions. I don't think I asked you. Or actually, I might have at the start, but forgive me. The helmets and the jerseys.
You mentioned it. Yeah, I love the helmet. I think it looks fantastic. You mentioned that it looks better with the greys than you expected. I think it complements the greys very well. I still don't like the greys, but it looks good. So, ride out the rest of the year when you can wear it. It's probably just going to wear it at Thanksgiving, and that's it now, and that's fine, whatever.
No, I think they'll wear the throwbacks. I think they'll wear the throwbacks for Thanksgiving.
Okay, I can see that.
Well, I think they did that last year for Thanksgiving, didn't they? And I think that's kind of the plan moving forward, is wear the plain silver helmets on Thanksgiving.
I will not be sad if this is the last time I wear this jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, as much as I love Kenny Golladay, still, I have not abandoned him. I will not. People forget how good he was for this team, but the silver jerseys ain't it, and they haven't been for a long time because they ain't silver. It's one of those things, it just doesn't look like it. It doesn't look good.
Funny enough, while I was at work, we had a much younger guy who works with us who was asking about the color rushes, and he didn't have too many memories of the color rushes. And I got down the rabbit hole where we Lions had color rush uniforms and never wore them. Because back then, color rushes were the alternates, but there was only for the Thursday games and Thursday night games. And what do the Lions not play because of Thanksgiving? Thursday night games up until this year.
Yeah, because suddenly we're good. VR Master rightly says, I think greys on Thanksgiving last year, throwbacks are on New Year's against the Bears, which I think is right.
I could see that.
And also someone saying, it's late over there because Matt is wearing pajamas. And I feel right at home here. I do. Yeah. Oh, we made Jimmy Garoppolo look bad. That's the most satisfying thing about this game.
Bad, but yes.
We made him look worse.
That's true.
And yeah, I'm here for it. And Hunter Renfrow didn't look fantastic. Michael Mayer. I mean, for the longest time, the Raiders were led in receiving yards by Austin Hooper. I mean, previously was the highest paid tight end in the NFL, but
Jimmy Garoppolo is, not to remove it. Devontae Adams has the patience of a saint. If I was him, I would be like, I know he's probably demanding a trade internally. I'd be yelling it to the press too. Like, this is awful. The worst part is Adams could have very well influenced this game had Garoppolo decided not to target Gatorade bottles.
I mean, Devontae legit beat Cam Sutton on that double move, and he had plenty of separation, and Jimmy misses him. But we rush 6 on that play with Hutchinson getting a quarterback hit on that play, and Garoppolo has to rush it. So while Adams beats him all ends up, if you don't give the quarterback enough time to throw the ball, who cares?
If you watch the clips, Adams isn't happy. No, like, clearly he's not happy. I don't know how. Actually, I think ESPN has a video up of Adams leaving the field early near the end of the game. I don't know what I really take about that. Yeah, I guess during all the handshakes, he just kind of jogged directly to the locker room. Again, I can't blame him. That sucks. Like, this isn't what he signed up for. He didn't sign up to come here just to see his high school friend schlum it down to New Orleans, and him to get a handsome olive oil boy who can't hit the broadside of a barn.
I mean, he signed up to be mediocre with Derek Carr, not with this organization. Like, they were still not going to be good.
But like some guys prioritize certain things, and Davante Adams clearly wanted to prioritize a friendship, and that was taken away from him. Like, I get it. I get it. Totally get it.
I mean, I get it too, but there were rumors before that trade for years that they wanted out of Derek Carr. So my apologies to Davante Adams for not being sympathetic to his situation, because he could have seen this coming.
Yeah, but those are rumors, though, and I'm not sure how much you can put into stock on that if you're a player. We should probably wrap up here soon. I think we have mined this thing dry, setting it up for Ryan and Jeremy to talk about this tomorrow, and get deeper into individual performances. I will reiterate my point. The sloppiness doesn't matter. To take the line from Al Davis, just win, baby. The Lions were dominant in spite of the mistakes being made, in spite of early inefficiencies in the red zone. I don't think those are potable to the next game. I think sometimes the Lions can get a little too cute, a little too clever, but I think they can continue to rely on people like Jahmyr Gibbs, and the bye week is hitting at just the right time to go back in and recalibrate and maybe stop doing some of that cute stuff you've got going on, like Amon-Ra St. Brown trying to throw. And the second half looks very favorable. And that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, the Amon-Ra play, he had him too. Khalif was wide open in the end zone, and Amon-Ra tucked it because he didn't think he could lob it over the defenders that were on rushing, but the play worked.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I was just asking if you have like final thoughts before we get out of here.
Sure. The Lions were efficient on offense. The mistakes didn't down us. We are going to show the mentality that we've shown all season long. We're never going to back down. And the rest of the season should really pan out very well for us. Someone asked how many wins it could take to win the division, and he suggested 9. I think that's a good number right now. I don't even think 9 is necessary to win the division anymore, to be honest. But anyway, I digress. The defense is potentially the best part of this team, and it's the most refreshing statement I've said in the last decade as a fan. So long may that continue.
Before you, well, you can leave whenever you want. I want to show one thing to the crowd here before we get out of here.
You're on my Zoom, so I'll need to stay with you just a second. If you're
all right. Well, I'll share the screen. Hold on. I'm like pulling it up, and I'm trying not to get it too loud. I'm just setting it up right here. Would you like to see me at Olive Garden, Matt?
Oh, you didn't go, did you? Did you go?
I did go.
Oh my god.
That's why I'm saying, like, here. Let me share screen. Screen 1. Here we go. Let me put this on the desktop view. Jeremy, I hope you're here to see this.
Oh my god. When did you do this?
Just this week. Oh, I'm still on the fettuccine Alfredo here.
I have to eat all of it.
I'm still editing this whole thing, and it's not a pretty sight. Let me skip ahead because I'm trying to find the one moment where I actually.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Bake off these things anyway.
No, the lasagna was fucking terrible. I'm wait for the point here because I'm going to hit a point at lasagna where I switch to the chicken parm, and I want you to see my face.
Oh, the sigh. Oh, uh-oh.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. It was basically 3 meals, and they gave me a salad and appetizer to start too. It was heavy, man. The sauce was terrible starting part.
I think we have a very similar restaurant over here, which is the aptly named Bella Italia. It's basically.
Here it comes. Hold on.
Like to go on it, not like how many I'm going to tolerate. I'm past that limit. But
so the only thing that was small here was the fettuccine Alfredo. It was a big piece of lasagna and a fillet of like chicken parm.
I do like chicken parmesan, so I want to get to it.
Those are words I'm going to regret very shortly. I just want to show this part. By the way, I had food poisoning on Friday.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny. Just your facial reactions to the food as well is like you're not happy.
Mercifully, there's not a lot of meat on it. On the other hand, it just makes it heavier.
The meat
Thomas
sauce.
J. Hutchins. You're watching absolute gold.
This is the payoff for last year's Movember, where I went to Olive Garden to eat the tour of Italy, fettuccine Alfredo, lasagna, and chicken parm, and it was all awful.
I don't even think chicken parm is Italian.
Move tonight.
No, none of that's Italian. Lasagna's not that. Meat lasagna, fettuccine Alfredo certainly isn't Italian. That's the point my sister brought up very quickly. That none of those are all Italian American, but not Italian. Their chicken parm, absolutely. I wish I could show a picture of it. It was absolutely microwaved. Absolutely effing microwaved. That reminds me, Olive Garden, the decor yeah, no, so this was right near their kitchen. They sat me right near the kitchen, and yeah, these walls look like shit I used to have in one of my apartments.
My experiment just said lasagna is
hold on.
Italian.
Here comes.
This one's the painful part. This was the one I wasn't looking forward to.
Hold on. I'm going to skip ahead just real quick. I want to see. All right, get past this bite. You really have to see this. I do need to show this. I am deep in the meal at this point, and what's about to happen next? Like, I have to eat the breadstick just to get the taste out of my mouth. All right, get past lasagna, Chris. Where am I? Okay, here we go. This is the good shit right here. I'm a fat bastard.
Chicken parm.
No, you aren't.
Chicken parm. Putting lasagna on the side for a second. Chicken parm. If this doesn't save me, nothing will.
Just watch the fade. Oh.
That looked really tough.
I'm blocking. Oh yeah, there's the aftertaste. The aftertaste hits me there.
I mean,
this is not made up. I'm not selling this. This is genuine.
I mean, at this point, you've been going for 18 minutes. If you were going to sell it, you'd do it earlier.
This is actually, I had to stop recording several times. I'm actually 25 minutes in of eating, straight eating.
What the do they do to this chicken?
What the fuck is that? I read that.
What the fuck did I do this chicken?
That's lasagna.
I went back to the lasagna. I hated lasagna, and the chicken parm was that bad.
I mean, the thing is, it doesn't even take much to do this sort of thing
like,
well.
So
for dinner tonight, I cut open a chicken breast in half. I put in some pepperoni, a slice of mozzarella, and some red pesto, and put it in the air fryer for 15 minutes. And I bet it tasted better than that. And I'm not going to claim that's Italian, but it tasted like a chicken pizza, and it was great.
Do you know when you cut open a piece of fried chicken and you see like the bread, the coating inside is kind of grayish to connote that it's been through a microwave? That's what I saw inside this thing.
Yeah, not fun.
All right, that's enough of that.
I
think I am making our audience legitimately like sick now.
Oh, I'm here for it. I am. But
all right, everyone, we're going to get out of here. Yeah. It is late, so thank you to everyone who's been sticking with us. I know it's late on the East Coast as well. Is there anyone worth rating? There is. Hold on, everyone. Hold on. I've got to pull up another browser. Give me 1 second. I need to get into our back end for a second.
I want to chastise Liam R for saying there's no good food in Scotland. So wrong. Scotland is an exceptional country, especially for food. Love haggis. Haggis is fantastic. There we go. You have one dish.
There we go.
It's a damn good one.
Hey guys, guess who's streaming? Congratulate him for the victory tonight. He's earned it. I'm going to send you over to Graham Glasgow. He's playing Counter-Strike late. He's getting off the vibes. Have fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow for PODcast.
Oh, Glasgow's such a beast. All right, we out?
All right. Yep, we're out. We're out.
Cool. Thanks for letting me come on, man.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. Sorry, I've got a ton of windows to close up now.
Yeah.